Welcome to Naresh IT Technologies. This is Mahesh. So, in my last videos, I explained what is RESTful app services, how to deploy our first RESTful app service application, and how to inject the data. There are different approaches to inject the data. So, one of the approach to inject the data is nothing but yesterday we seen that by using at path parameter annotation, we can inject the data. We can inject. I mean, we can send the data. We can send from consumer to provider. We can send the data. Right. This is one approach we seen in the last video. So, in this video, we'll see the other ways how to inject the data or how to send the data from consumer to provider. So, the next approach of sending the data from consumer to provider is nothing but query parameter is another approach of sending the data from consumer to provider. So, basically if you are aware of this servlets and JSP concept, so query parameters is a most known term. So, easily you can understand what exactly that query parameters is, right. So, in case of your servlet or JSP, what we will do is nothing but after the context path. So, after the context path, right. So, we are going to specify the URL will specify, right. After the URL, so we are going to specify the parameters we are going to specify. After the context path, in case of your servlet or JSP, after representing whatever the URL you configured in the web.xml to invoke this particular servlet, let us take. After that question mark, we will specify the parameter name, will specify, and whatever the value you want to send for the parameter, we'll specify the values we will send like this in case of query parameter. So, like this we will specify the parameter name and we are going to specify the parameter value, and ampersand is a delimiter, meaning the separator between from one parameter another parameter, right. So, just I am repeating once again, if you are aware of the servlet and JSP concept, it is most popular term called query parameters, and this is one of the approach in our RESTful app service also to send the data from consumer to what provider. So, we will see how to send the data from consumer to provider. Actually, we are talking about one in our web services. We are developing an application we are developing called second ticket. So, basically we are receiving the ticket information we are receiving from our consumer to provider, and this yesterday we written this method we written here. The consumer application is calling this method, and this is what the path we configured, and we are receiving the path parameters in this format. We are receiving the path parameters we are receiving, right. So, what is the information we are receiving from our consumer is nothing but we are receiving the ticket type, what is the date and when that particular ticket date, what is the ticket time, and what is the name of the ticket, what is the location, and what is the price. This is the information we are receiving from our consumer, right. So, I am creating one more method I am creating for receiving the query parameters. Okay. The concept is same, method will take the same input parameters we will take from the consumer, but in the form of query parameters. In my previous videos, we received the data in the form of path parameters. Now, we received the data in the form of what? Query parameters. We will receive the data we will receive. Okay. Fine. I am creating one method I am creating here, public. Return type of this method I am specifying as a string is the return type of this method we configured. String is the return type of this method. So, just we will return same like our SRS program, we will return either success or fail is the message we will return. That is why I specified string is the return type of this method, and I am creating a method I am creating here called insert. Insert query is a method name I specified. We create a method called what? Insert query is a method name we specified. So, this is what the method, fine. So, but how the consumer is going to call this method or how the consumer is going to access this resource is nothing but to access this particular resource, we are going to provide an identifier we will specify, when we will specify a name or we will specify one path we will specify to identify this particular method. So, hope you remember how you are going to configure that path. There is an annotation called at path is an annotation is there. There is an annotation called at path is the annotation. By using this at path annotation, we are going to specify what is the path to identify this particular method. See, already for this particular class, we already given a path we specified /st, meaning we specified that if any request which is coming from this /st, invoke this particular class called second ticket info. But the class contains multiple methods, like yesterday we created this receive ticket info method, and we configured the path we configured for this method as insert path is a path we configured. So, if the request is coming from /st/insert path, we are telling that invoke this particular method, or in RESTful service terminology, invoke this particular resource. The request is coming from this particular path, we configured that. So, when the request is coming from this particular path, you want to invoke this particular resource, you have to configure. So I am configuring this one, I am configuring as, let's take for example, query is a path we configured. So what we configured? Query is the path we configured. So if the request is coming from this particular slash query, invoke this particular resource. And next you have to specify what kind of request it is, whether it's a get request or post request or put request or delete request, what kind of request it is, you have to specify it. And specifying the request type, I am specifying it's a get request is the type we configured. We are configuring the type, you are configuring as what? Get request is the type we configured. Okay. So in the coming classes, in the coming videos, we will see an example for post request, put request, delete request and all, and we'll implement the full application, we'll implement with the DAO classes, bean classes and all. Just these are the beginning sessions just to understand how to inject the data from consumer to provider. So we'll see the complete real-time application, we'll see in the coming videos, we'll see that one. Okay. So we specified the request type is specified, a get request. The request is coming from the slash query, invoke this particular resource. It's a get request. Next you have to specify what kind of data you are producing, you have to specify here. So let's take what kind of data we are producing is nothing but let's take it produces. So what kind of data you are producing, you have to specify here. If you see in our yesterday example, if you see here, what kind of data we produced in our yesterday example, the previous example is nothing but we are producing a plain text we are producing here. And when the client is made a request, we are sending either success or fail, we are sending the plain text we are sending. That's why we configured the text plain, we configured in the it produces. But in this particular service, let's take I want to return an XML format I want to return. What kind of format we want to return? We want to return an XML format we want to return, whether it's a success or fail. So it produces, I am configuring here, the type I am configuring here as media type. It produces media type dot, so specify here and specifying here application underscore XML file. So there is a type you can find here called application underscore XML. If you are returning the XML response, if you are returning, let's choose a type here as application underscore XML. Fine. So when you are returning the data also, we had to return in which format we had to return? XML format we had to return. Fine. We identify, for identifying this resource, we configured the path we configured, we specified it's a get request we specified, and we are returning it's a XML format, it is returning we configured. But what is our main intention? We want to receive the data from our consumer application, right? So one of the approach we are having is nothing but query parameters. How we are going to receive the data in the form of query parameters is, let's see. Let's use an annotation call inside this method. Let's use an annotation call at query param is an annotation is there. Let's use an annotation call at query param. So specify what is a parameter name, what is the parameter you are receiving. I am receiving the first parameter I am receiving called type. What is the ticket type? It's a bus ticket or movie ticket or a flight ticket, what kind of ticket it is, the type information I want to get. Okay. So next, so let's hold into one variable, I am taking one string type I am taking here. What kind of data it is? A type is nothing but it's a string type. I am holding into some local variable called type underscore is a variable name I specified. So it must be same, the parameter name must be same what you are receiving from your consumer parameter name. So here it's a local variable for this particular parameter what you are receiving. The parameter what you received, that value we are storing into this local variable we are storing. So you can give any name you can specify and specify the type called type underscore is the name we configured. This is one parameter we are receiving. Let's take one more parameter we will receive called at query param, at query parameter. So one more parameter we are receiving. What is that one? Date. Date is another parameter we are receiving. Let's hold into a variable string date. Okay, date is another variable you taken. Next, at query parameter time. Let's hold into a variable. I am holding into a string variable called time. Okay. So date, time, and we are receiving one more parameter called location is one thing. One more thing is nothing but price right? So if you see the previous service, you will understand ticket type, date, time. Okay, name is another thing, name, location and price. These are the 6 parameters we want to receive. Okay, at query parameter, one more parameter we are receiving called name. So let me copy and paste. Name, one more type is location is one more type, and next thing is nothing but name, location, and the next thing is nothing but price. Okay. So this is what the method name, insert query is a method, and these are the parameters we are receiving from our consumer application. We are receiving these parameters we are receiving: type, date, time, name, location and price. Okay. So we will see here whether all these parameter values what we are received is contain some data or not. If it is not contains, you are going to get null, right? If any one of the parameters became null, what we will do is nothing but we will return some status in the form of XML as a fail. So once if you receive the data from all these parameters, we will return the status as success will return. So we will see in the coming classes how we will store the data into database servers and all. Okay, I told you, right, in these videos just my intention is to demonstrate how you are going to inject the data from consumer to provider in the form of path parameters, query parameters, matrix parameters. All these things just I want to demonstrate. Okay. So the complete application we are going to see in the coming videos. We will see the complete application development with the database integration, as well as with the integration with your Spring, right. So all these things we will see in the coming videos. We will see. So what I will do is nothing but, yesterday we already written the code, we already written here. If the type as well as date, time, all is not null, just we are returning the message in the last video called success and fail. Now we will return that message, we will return in the form of XML format we will return. Simply what I am doing is, let me add this condition what you written in the previous video. If type is not equals to null, date is not equals to null, time, name as well as location and price all are not equals to null, simply we are printing the data we are printing on the console, and we are returning the message in the form of string, right, success or fail. We modified the variable names, name underscore, the location underscore as well as price underscore. If all these variable types are not equals to null, we are printing the data we are printing on the console, we are printing the data, right. But yesterday we are writing we are returning here, we are returning the plain text we are returning here called success or fail. Now what we want to do is nothing but we want written in the form of XML format. Let us say I am constructing a simple XML file I am constructing here, XML format I am constructing. Let us take for example, there is a root tag name is specified called result is a root tag name. Hope you are aware of this basic XML syntax. And specifying what is a tag name, result is a root tag name we specified. Under the result tag we are returning success. Okay. And inside the result tag is a root tag name we taken the result tag as a root tag. Under result tag I am specifying what is the status, meaning inside a tag called status tag we are returning that. Okay. So what is the root tag name is nothing but result is a root tag name. Inside the result tag we created a tag called status is a tag name. So inside the status tag we are returning it's a success. If all these parameters are not equals to null, just we are printing the data we are printing on the console, and we are returning that XML data we are returning. The same thing we will do for fail also. Let us copy it and specify here instead of success we will return as a fail, and we are returning the data we are returning in the form of XML format. We are returning the data we are returning, whether it is a success or fail. Fine. So we created one resource we created one method we created. That method is returning the data in the form of XML format. The method is returning. It is returning the XML data, and it is consuming the data in the form of query parameters. It is consuming the data, it is consuming, right. So let us deploy the application and test the output. Let us deploy the application and let us test the output in the second ticket. Let us run on server. How many parameters it is receiving? 6 parameters, right. Okay. App is deployed, and this is what the context path for our project, right. This is what the context path for our project. What is your IP address and the port number, project name, the context path. After this context path, in the web.xml we configured that all the web service request will come from which particular URL. We configured that URL we configured in the servlet mapping, it's a web service request. The request will come from this /rs, the request will come. So here, let's configure here when you are making a request, after the context path specify /rs, meaning we are telling that it's a web service request it is. After rs, in the project there may be n number of classes, but to identify this particular class, second ticket info, because in this particular class only we created that resource or we created that method we created. To identify this particular resource, we configured the path we configured as query is a path we configured. So what we have to do is nothing but after this context path, after specifying this /rs, it's a web service request. So what we have to configure here? The path we had to configure, query we had to configure, because we configured this one, we configured to invoke this particular resource, we configured the path we configured as query we configured. So after this it's taking the total 6 query parameters it is taking as input. So let's specify these 6 parameters in the form of query parameters. We have to send the data we have to send. So how you are going to send the data is put a question mark because we are sending the query parameters we are sending. The first parameter is nothing but what is the type you have to specify, what type of ticket it is. Let's take I am taking this one as a bus, it's a bus ticket it is. And how you are going to separate the query parameters? The delimiter is nothing but ampersand. By using this ampersand, we are going to separate the query parameters will separate. The next thing is nothing but what is the date. I specified the date of this bus ticket is nothing but it's 02 and 03 2018 as a date I configured. Next, what is the time? Let's take this time of this bus ticket is nothing but 10 PM is the time I configured. Okay. So what is this bus ticket and all these things is nothing but, if you listen the previous videos, you'll understand. We are developing a small project kind of thing called second ticket, where the user can sell his ticket. Okay. So what is the time? Next, what is the name? Let's take I configured the name I configured called Hyderabad to Bangalore is a ticket name I configured. Hyderabad to Bangalore is a ticket name we configured, ampersand. Next, what is the location? Let's take from where you booked this ticket. Let's take for example from Amirpet. I configured the name as Amirpet I configured. The last thing is nothing but what is the price we had to configure here. What is the price for this particular ticket? I configured the price I configured as 2000 I configured. So simply if you make a request here, when you click on this enter or when you select this run option, when you make a request, once if you make a request, if everything is fine, if everything is working fine, we are going to get the data whatever the query parameters we send. The data is going to be print on the console, it's going to print the data. So one thing we missed here, that is after this RS, to identify this particular our class, that second ticket info, we configured the path as ST, right? So we missed that ST we missed to invoke this particular second ticket info. Let's say the request is not invoked. See, now the request we made a request we made and we got the return, we got the message as success we got, right? And see here in the console whether the data is printed or not. See, we got the data we got, it's a bus ticket and this was the date and this was the time and this was the name of the ticket, Amirpet and 2000. But we are returning the data in the form of XML format, right? We are returning the data in the form of XML format we are returning. Basically browser is not display that XML file. Let's see here. If you see the source code, if you see here, the same request what I am doing is I am making a request from browser, I am making a request. Instead of that built-in browser what we got from Eclipse, I am making a request from external browser, I am making a request. See here, we got the return format, we got the data in the form of XML format, we got the data, success we got. Okay. So this is the another approach of sending the data or injecting the data to the RESTful web services, that is in the form of query parameters. Okay. So thank you. See you in the next video. We'll discuss one more approach called matrix parameters. By using matrix parameters, how we'll send the data, we'll see in the next video. Thank you.